Okay guys, so in this video we are going to look to the challenge lab, which is creating a dynamic website for the cafe. The starting point, we are going to do a Cloud9 environment. It is a cloud-based IDE where we have an EC2 to access, and that EC2 we will be using it to deploy our application into a multi-AZ deployment with the aid of System Manager, with the start of where we are giving a start code. So the first thing we need to do is to understand the first challenge, that the cafe staff, they want to introduce an online ordering for the customers, and they want to enable the cafe staff to view the submitted orders. They have now a static website, and this is what we did in the previous video, but this is not enough, and we need to get it working in AWS as a dynamic website. So the first thing I'm going to do is to basically go to the first task where we need to go to the AWS console. I have the AWS console here. I could open it again just to confirm that the session is currently capturing all the resources in the lab. You can see now I need to experience or to test that I have an EC2 called AWS Cloud9. So we need now to basically access the AWS Cloud9. You could also access the questions in the multiple choice questions in this page as well. In task 2, we need to go and connect to the IDE. So you could go from the console and access the Cloud9. And this is basically the instance, the Cafe web server that we just saw in the EC2 tab. Launch the Cloud9 and we open the IDE, which is basically a normal IDE that we use for building the cafe. So that's Cloud9. It has a bash terminal, which is here, where we can write code. Linux commands will do, like ls and so on. Could also open files in the file editor here in this screen, and this is the file structure or the folder viewer where we have to browse all our files in the system. Few things we need to do in step 10. We need to basically experience or test that we have a batch running. So we go and we do this command cat proc/ and this is going to be the version of Cloud9. Now we need to run a few commands in step 11 to install the IDE, the Apache servers. Let me expand this a bit. So this is sudo http d-v. So the Apache is installed. Now we just need to make sure it is started by doing the command service httpd status. It is stopped, and now we need to check that MySQL is installed, and then we need to check as well the service of PHP of MySQL D, which is the service running MySQL in Linux, and these are all stopped. So we want to start them, and to start them is going to be activating the auto start, which is check config httpd on, and then sudo service httpd. We do start, and this will start the server. So you can see it's giving us OK. You could check the service based on the command sudo, or you can just navigate to the history, and this will give you the previous command that we just put. Let me use sudo here, and it is running at process 4209. Also, we want to do another check configuration for the MySQL D on, which means every time I restart the EC2, I want you to start the instance as well. Sudo service, and this is going to start the MySQL D service start, and it is ready. You could also check using the previous commands. If you go with the upper arrow guys on your keyboard, you will be able to basically get the previous commands instead of keep typing it. So that's step 12. Now in step 13, when you want to configure the EC2 instance so that it can use the AWS Cloud 9 editor to edit the web server files, and we need to put this command, which is basically creating a link file or a shortcut, and then we give a permission to the EC2 user to access the var www HTML. We will create now a simple file from file in new, and we have this file in new here, so we need to create it inside this folder. And this is basically this command created this shortcut for the www, or a link file for the www. And inside the HTML page, we need to go and create a new file. So we are going to create a new file like this, and we call this file index.html. Inside it, we will put in it a dummy HTML code, just a dummy tag, and save. Just 1 second, I think I copy it in the wrong place. Let me open this guy here, double click, paste, and save. So we need to verify and update the configuration to make our website, and this is basically done. If you go back to your EC2, you could do this simply by going back to the EC2s and check that the security group in that EC2 is opening port 80 as an inbound rule. It seems to be there is no inbound rule here, so we are going to edit the security group, edit, and we add the HTTP from anywhere and save. Now there is a few tabs here. They are going to be about getting the IP address of the EC2, which already we know. Going back to your EC2 and copy the IP or the public IP address and test that you can see the hello message in the browser. So hello from the Cafe web server, we are done. So our web server here is ready to be launched. Now in the new business requirements, we want to install a dynamic website application on the EC2 instance, and this is going to be the challenge for doing what we are going to do in task 4. So we have configured the EC2 instance, we have PHP installed, we have MySQL, we have the Apache, and now we want to create environment for basically the Cafe website. So we're going to do sudo or cd clone / environment, and we are going to get the file set up for the PHP code, for the DB, as you can see here in step 16, and also for the actual Cafe. Let me clear this so you can read, and maybe I increase the font a bit. wget is going to download the file. In the next command, we are going to unzip the file using this command. I'm just copying and pasting from the lab sheet so you can see there is now a new folder here created for me, set up. Then we want to go and download the DB file, which has the content of our DB. And then we basically unzip it using the tar command -zxvf, and then wget the actual Cafe website, and then we need to unzip it. So you will see now we have the cafe, we have the DB, which basically has some SQL for creating the SQL data, the data for the cafe, and we have the setup file and the setup of the parameters files as well. You can also see them from the file browser. Now, the first thing we need to do is to move the cafe folder inside the HTML folder here, and basically we want to get rid from this index.html. So it's going to be taking place. You can do this by this command here, which is mv move folder cafe to /var/ww/html. So you can see now I have the cafe here, there. Now we need to see that we have inside the cafe, we have a new file called index.php. Inside the cafe, and this is the file, which is the index.php. We can open it there. And this is what we need to do in step 18. We just want to observe the application. For example, in line 18, we have a get parameters.php, and this is going to be the application environment parameter from the parameter store, and the server info as well from the parameter store. We also include the AWS SDK in line 3 in the get parameter from the parameter store. So if you open this, you can see we are going to use the AWS SDK as well. Now we need to go to the AWS System Manager parameter store configuration file in the application parameter inside the setup. So if you go to the folder setup and set app parameter store and you open this file, you find this is a script, and this is basically going to set up the environment for us. All we need to do now is to navigate to this folder, and let me go to the home, the root directory, sorry, and cd environment setup. So now I am inside the setup. I could see the file I'm looking for, which is a Linux script. All I need to do is just to execute this file, and this will set up the application parameter value in the parameter store. In step 20 now, we need to go to the AWS console, and we go to the system manager. In the system manager, we need to go to the parameter store from the left, and we can see there is all the parameters that we need to the cafe, for the cafe, like a DB name, a DB password, a DB URL, a DB user, show server info, time zone, currency, and so on. And in this step here, we want to get the DB password, and we copy the value, which is RE clone start 9. Copy, and we will copy it to the clipboard. Going back to step 22, we want to configure the MySQL database to use the DB password. So we're going back to the Cloud9 IDE, and we navigate back /./db. That's going to exit the setup and take us to the DB folder. And then we have a set root password. .sh. Now we need to create the DB .sh, and this will create the DB for us. Now to connect to MySQL, you can use the batch command MySQL -u root -p which is -u the user, -p the password, and now we paste the password that we just copy from there. So you should be able to see now MySQL. You could also get now more information like show database is, and this will show you there is a cafe DB. You can use it, cafe underscore DB. And we need to show tables. And we need to select a star just to make sure we got all the data we want for the cafe from product. Semicolon, and you can see we have data in the table. Exit MySQL, all good. And back now to step 24. We want to update the time zone configuration in PHP, and this command will basically just flush something to the php.ini, the initial, and we restart the HTTPD server. So we want now to test that the website is running. So from the public IP of your machine, just do /cafe, and this should take us to the main website of the cafe. And as you can see, only the banner of the cafe is loading. The rest, it's not loaded yet because we are going to do and resolve them later on. Now in step 26, we have a test page. So you know that the web server is working, and we know that the MySQL database is working and containing all the data. We need to fix now the issue with the cafe, not fully loading all the content as well. So to solve this issue, we need to go to the IAM. Okay, and from the IAM, we need to go to roles, and we select cafe role because it seems to be that our EC2 has no access to the MySQL yet. So if you open this role, you will find there is a permission assigned to this role. To give this role to the EC2, we need to go back to the EC2 and we select that EC2, and from action and security, we need to look to the cafe role and save. Now you should be able to refresh the page after a few seconds, and you will be able to see that the cafe is fully loaded with everything. So the issue was that the cafe or the EC2 has no access to for the system manager to get all the permission it needs. Now we want to test the cafe website in step number 27, and we go to the menu, and we need to, I think, submit an order. So we want one donuts. Let me add one here, and chocolate, and then submit an order. So we have like an order successfully submit. We can go and check the order history, which means we can read everything from the database. We want to create a development and production website in different AWS regions, and this is the third challenge for today. So this website here in this EC2 is the production, and now we want to create a new one. So we are going to go to the EC2, and from the EC2, we are going to create an AMI. And now the name, did they ask us for a specific name? do a few things in step 28 before we rush to create the AMI. Just 1 second. We go to step number 28 and we set the host name to cafe server, and then we need to do SSH-key gen for generating -t RSA key -f /.ssh/id RSA. So we want now to generate a new key pair for the EC2 instance, and that key pair we will be using later on for our second deployment. Then we need to cut that file and copy it to the authorized key. So we want to give it access to the authorized key. And we need to select the EC2 that we have in the instance, and we create an image. We want to call this cafe server. And when we do finish, just click on create an image. So this will take a while to create. You can check your progress here from the AMI, and meanwhile you can go and answer the multiple choice questions that you can see them here in the logo. Once this is finished, we are going to copy the AMID, and we want to create a new cafe instance in the region Oregon. Now be careful here because it asks you to use the instance as a T2 small, not T2 micro. So let us wait for this image to be finished. So basically now the image or the AMI for the cafe server is ready for us. And as you can read in step 36, this image should be in the region Oregon, but the image currently in North Virginia. So what we do, we need to copy the AMI. So once you select the cafe image, go and do copy AMI, select the region you want to copy it to, which is US West, and make a note of the AMI ID and copy the AMI. Now this will take a few minutes to finish. So let me go now to US West. You can see now the copying of the AMI is in a pending state. So I will pause the video for 2 minutes to save time and then come back to this later on. Okay, so the image is ready, and per the instruction, we want to launch from this image a new EC2 in the US West region of type T2 small. Now, if you don't select T2 small, you are going to get an error. That's going to be in the lab VPC region 2 in public subnet. Enable IP just in case, and then we need to go and add storage, add tag, and the tag will be name, and the name is going to be prod cafe server. Click on security group. We will call it cafe SG, and this is going to enable port 22. And then we need to open port HTTP port 80 from anywhere, review, and launch. Now we can proceed without a key pair as the instruction is specified by the lab. And we will wait for this EC2 to be fully launched, and we check that we can see the public website. Now you will need to create another AWS parameters. So we need to do this in step 39. So we need to go to the Cloud 9 in the original region in North Virginia, and we go and we open the Cafe web server setup file, meter file in the text editor, and we edit the line, and we make line 12 basically equal to the region that we are going to use in this case. So the region is going to be US West 2, and then in line 18 we are going to change the IP address with the IP address that we have in the new cafe, in the new public DNS of the instance. So we are going to check it now. We have a public DNS server, and this is going to be the cafe. Excellent. So we need to go back to this line, and we put the new IP address of the new server, and we save the file, and we can run it from here. Just quickly can run it to set up a new file. Now go back to your new production server once this script is finished, and refresh. Sometimes this takes time. So let me go to the main website first, and then I need to go to the /cafe website, and there is one thing I missed, and you know what I mean. It is giving this EC2 the cafe role as well. So from action, security, modify, and cafe role, and as you can see, this is a global role. Now you can see I have the order history, which means I'm accessing the MySQL database as well. And that's pretty much what we need to do for this lab. Thank you for seeing this video, and see you in the next one.